All right, we are live. I'm not going to lie to you here. I really hope this works. I really hope this works because I'm using the StreamYard version. I've done some live streams before, but this is my first time trying it. I didn't give it a test run. I just hit the button and said go. So listen, welcome to episode 1 of the TheDANshow. By the way, if you're new to my channel, I was going to ask you one simple question. Do you want to talk football? Because if so, you're in the right place. It's the only thing I do. So listen, if you don't get a chance to join the show live, I'm going to rebroadcast this tomorrow. This is a great show. This episode is fantasy football related. I don't do a lot of fantasy. Yes, the air conditioning's on. It should. That, you know what? I got it on right next to my microphone here, so you may hear some background noise. Hopefully, we're okay. Anyway, I don't talk fantasy a lot. All right, but a few days ago, my buddy Scott did probably the smartest thing he's ever done. He calls me up and he's like, "Oh man, I got Life is Gamble. Hey, welcome, man, welcome. Yeah, I'm talking fantasy. So Scott calls me. This is probably the smartest thing he's ever done. He's like, Dan, listen. I'm in a fantasy football draft, and so I hit him back. It's like, what kind of fantasy league is this? Is Dynasty? Is it PPR? Is it Standard? He's like, I don't know. So Dan, can you help me out? Boom! What does he do? He's in a fantasy football league. He needs help. He asks the expert, so he asked me. Even though I don't play fantasy, I don't do fantasy, but I'm here to help. So what I decided to do is next Saturday's his draft. I'm coming over. I'm going to help him out because every single fantasy league I've ever done, usually every single draft I've ever been to, it's usually it starts around 6. Usually between 6 and 8, people start gravitating towards me because everybody knows you're going to take in rounds 1 and 2. It's when you got about 30 receivers off the board, it's like, who do I take now? Or when 20 running backs are gone, who's the 21st running back I should take? That's when people start gravitating. Hey, Dan, what do you think about this guy? Hey, what about this guy? So, and before I go on here, people ask me all the time what makes me an expert. Because I always tell people, hey, listen, come to an expert. I bet on football, and I usually win. The last couple of years, I made a profit betting on the National Football League. I don't do fantasy, but I'm here to help. Life is Gamble. He's joining. I'm glad this works, man. So I'm glad you posted it. I didn't advertise it because the tentative plan is to have a live stream every Wednesday at 7. But I just started a new job. My work schedule's a little crazy. So, but this is a video where I'm going to talk about rookies and late round picks. Because here's the deal. Rounds 1 and 2 of every single fantasy draft. If you already had your fantasy draft, I'm sorry you didn't get a chance to see this sooner, but I will tell you this. You shouldn't have had your fantasy draft already. You really shouldn't, but if you did, that's okay. So look, here's the deal. I should. Hey, look, like I said, this is impromptu. Usually my stuff's a lot better organized, but hey, let's just go ahead and get this out. So basically this video is going to be about some late round picks, some rookies. So when you have your fantasy draft, rounds 1, 2, and 3, you're not going to talk about these players. These are players that you want to take in rounds 10 through 15. These are players you want to get later on in the draft here. And you know what? I wonder if I can do this here. Yes, I should have done this before, but I wonder if this will work. Can I even do that? I can. All right. So listen. Here's the drill. I'm going to start here with the NFC East. All right. And keep in mind, this is impromptu. I just put this together the last minute. I'm not going to break down everything, but this is a great tool to use in rounds 10 through 15. All right. And I'm going to talk about some rookies that you could maybe take earlier. But with the NFC East, a few players you may want to take consideration on. Number one is I'm hearing a lot of talk about Bryce Love, the running back out of Stanford for the Washington Redskins. For those of you who don't know, Darius Geis got involved in an off-the-field incident. I'm not going to go into detail, but he's no longer with the team formerly known as the Redskins, the team in Washington, I think they're called. Man, I'm you know what, man, it's like 90 degrees outside. Yeah, I'm going to drink coffee. I'm that crazy. But don't sleep on Adrian Peterson. 898 yards, 5 touchdowns, had 17 catches for 142 yards. I know he's 72 years old, but I think Adrian Peterson might go for $1,000 this year. You don't want to take him early. Again, I want to emphasize, but bottom line, if you need your third running back or a flex guy, Adrian Peterson late, man, you can do a lot worse. Life is a gamble, man. Yeah. A lot of people, by the way, are really high on. Oh man, I just had a brain freeze, man. You know who I'm talking about? The kid out of Oklahoma. Scott number 88, played at Oklahoma, calls himself the governor of Texas. By the way, it's really cool. And I'm just drawing a complete blank on his name. I feel like such a tool. I can't believe I just blanked on the kid's name. I have to actually look it up. I'm in Des. No, it's not. I almost said Des Bryant. Boy, man, here I am calling myself an expert on football, and I wanted to call the Dallas Cowboys receiver CeeDee Lamb. A lot of people are really high on him. Wait till he plays a game first. Big upside if you're going for dynasty. I will say this though, if you're in a dynasty league, Dwayne Haskins is a guy that you may want to take mid to late rounds. I love his upside. Some Chiefs fans know about this. Alex Smith was a big help to Patrick Mahomes. Is some of that same help if he rubs off on a Dwayne Haskins at all? Dwayne Haskins got all the arm talent in the world, so. If you're in a dynasty league, you could take Dwayne Haskins, sit on him. You're looking at a guy who I think next year could be an absolute stud. I think he may not do that well this year. If you take him late, though, you're really not risking that much. You could probably get him somewhere below round 12, and you may get a guy who's going to put up some big numbers. So another guy that you could probably get late, who I had a huge draft crush coming out of Ole Miss, is of Evan Ingram. Now, for those of you who don't know, Jason Garrett, former Cowboys coach, is now the offensive coordinator in New York. He loves throwing to the tight end. Jason Witten had like 5,000 catches there in Dallas, and Evan Ingram, if you remember, ran like I think it was 4.41 at the combine. This guy's got all the talent in the world. He's just had a hard time putting it together. Well, now you get Jason Garrett, and he likes throwing to the tight end. Watch out, this guy could have a huge breakout year. Again, this isn't a guy I take early, but when all the big name tight ends are gone, this is a guy he might end up with 1,000 catches and 10 touchdowns. Could be poised to have a big year. If he's available late, Evan Ingram's a great tight end to pick up. Excuse me. Another guy, I have him more as a dynasty league pick, because I'm not really sure how well he's going to do this year because the offense is complicated. But Jalen Reagor is a guy who I really, really like. Jalen Reagor is a guy I really like, and I like him going to Philly. It's just that offense is very complex, but he's got a great quarterback. 2-3 years from now, it wouldn't surprise me if he's catching 100 passes for 1,200 yards and, between 8 and 12 touchdowns. 2-3 years from now, he's going to be the number one receiver in Philly. he's going to surpass Ertz in a couple of years. He's not going to be right away, but in about 2 to 3 years, he's going to be the guy who's getting those targets. This year, I'm not sure of the production that you would get out of Rager. I would think the ceiling be like maybe 50 to 70 catches, 800 yards. I think ceiling. I think his realistic ceiling. I know he's first round pick, but I don't think he's going to produce a lot. If you're in a dynasty league, though, stash this guy because he's got lots of talent and he's in a great spot. AFC East. I had a huge draft crush on N'Keal Harry. I joked around because before his senior season at Arizona State, Herm Edwards took over as head coach, and I joked around, how much is Herm going to kill this guy? Because he was projected to go top 5, and then the Patriots got him. I want to say it was 23rd, but he was injured most of the last year. He's going to be the Patriots' number 1 receiver. And this guy, if you don't remember, he ran a 4.55 at the combine, but he was actually returning punts for Arizona State. Guys like 6'3", 6'4", 220, really athletic. Like I said, he's going to be the number 1 receiver for the Patriots. Could have a huge year. So this is a guy. I wouldn't take him in the early rounds, but this is a guy who's going to be a number 1 wide receiver. So this is a guy, also a big body guy, could be a guy who gets about a dozen touchdowns. I wouldn't take him in about the first 5 to 8 rounds. Well, maybe first 5 to 7, avoid it. But late, this is a guy who's going to be the number 1 guy. So Mike Gesicki, a tight end out of Miami. This is a guy I loved coming out of Penn State. I think he ran like a 4.53 at the combine. I watched him play quite a bit. He never looked like a 4.5 guy. 3 touchdowns in his last 2 games. Also had that famous touchdown to beat New England. Chiefs fans, it was funny. They talked about Fitzpatrick. They should talk about this guy. He's the one who actually caught the touchdown. Really turned it on last year late. He was into Adam Gase's doghouse. But with the new coach there in Miami, he really, really turned it on. Could have a big year. Not in the top tier of tight ends, but it wouldn't surprise me if this guy has about anywhere between 800-900 yards receiving, about 8-9 touchdowns. This is a guy I would take as a definite tight end too. If this is your second tight end, you're in really good shape. He could have a great year. One thing about the Miami Dolphins is that their wide receivers all have injury issues. All right. But this tight end is probably your most stable guy. So this may be a guy that I guess you could call him a tight end number 2, but you may want to take him a little earlier than the double-digit rounds, and you might be okay with him. Like I said, I'm kind of projecting him to have somewhere around, I'd say all 7s, 70 catches, about 700 yards, 7 touchdowns. You can do a lot worse at the tight end position. There was a lot of talk about Stephon Diggs this offseason, but John Brown has sub 4.3 speed and had 72 catches for over 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. You can do a lot worse. Matter of fact, it wouldn't surprise me if John Brown has better stats than Stephon Diggs. This is a deep threat. And you got Josh Allen, who I know Chiefs fans, you're going to hate this. Josh Allen may have the strongest arm in football. Mahomes has much more arm talent, but I mean, you're throwing the deep ball and you have Diggs that you're going to pay attention to. Brown's a guy who could easily sneak behind you. Don't be surprised if Brown puts up 1,000 and has over 6 touchdowns. All right. Don't be surprised. NFC North, my draft crush. If you're in a PPR league, you cannot take DeAndre Swift early enough. I think he might end up being the Lions' leading receiver. It wouldn't surprise me he has over 80 catches. This is a guy, as a Chiefs fan, I love this guy. You cannot take DeAndre Swift early enough. Anthony Miller for the Bears. This is a guy I think could have a breakout year. I loved him coming out of Memphis. It's his 3rd season. If you recall, there was lots of quarterback issues in Chicago. There still is. So this is a guy who could have a huge year, and you definitely can get this guy late. Nobody's going to take Anthony Miller probably in the first 12 rounds. This is a guy who could have 1,000 yards and about 8-9 touchdowns easy, and you can get him late. So Justin Jefferson, this is the guy Buffalo would have drafted. This is the guy that Diggs essentially was traded for. So life is a gamble. You're right. I didn't know Kerryon Johnson was wearing a knee brace, but the thing with Swift is that you can put him in the slot. You could put this guy in the slot. You can play them both at the same time. It wouldn't surprise me if Swift becomes an every down player, but if you're in a PPR league, I've been telling Lions fans, this is the guy I wanted in Kansas City. This could be the leading receiver, because here's how you would blueprint going against the Lions. You're going to take away the wide receivers. TJ Hawkinson, remember he was the 7th overall pick in the draft. You're going to kind of eyeball him. You want to take away the wide receivers, then you probably want to take away the tight end. It wouldn't surprise me in a normal game, he gets 5 to 8 of these dump offs, and he's got enough ability to break one of them. He breaks one just for 20 yards. You're looking at 7 catches, 50, 60 yards, and that's just catches in the slot. Never mind when he's in the backfield, and I think eventually he's going to be the main guy. Life is a gamble. I don't know if you guys can see these comments or not here, but I'm going to see if I can put this up here. Yeah, okay. I do too. I mean, bottom line, the coaching staff and GM in Detroit, their jobs are all up for grabs. We want your job's on the line. Who do you want catching the ball? Amendola, who's 31, a bunch of knee injuries, or you want Swift, who is everybody's running back number 1 in the draft. So if you're in a PPR league, you cannot take Swift early enough. Justin Jefferson for the Vikings, I think he's going to have better stats than Diggs. Justin Jefferson versus Stephon Diggs, take Justin Jefferson. I think Justin Jefferson's going to have a big year. I think he's going to have a big year in Minnesota. Great rookie pick. AFC North, I've been hearing noise about Chase Claypool. If you're not familiar with who Chase Claypool is, he was a wide receiver for Notre Dame. Didn't really impress me very much. And there was talking maybe a tight end, maybe a receiver. Getting all choked up here talking about Claypool, but he went to a combine, 6'3", 238, ran a 4.42. So, this is an interesting one. Life is a gamble. If he's healthy, he could. I also forgot. I'm having another brain freeze here. Irv Smith Jr. is another guy. I think the Vikings are going to use a lot of 2 tight end sets. I forgot that in my notes actually, but that offense, they throw the tight end a lot. Remember, man, I'm having some brain freezes here, man. I apologize. I'm just not with it today. Can't believe I forgot his name. I am so embarrassed about this. Gary Kubiak. The offense he runs puts they like to throw to the tight end. And Kyle Rudolph, who he's a good tight end, don't get me wrong, but he's going to be about 31, 32. Irv Smith as a guy, don't get me wrong, he's not a tight end number 1, but this is a guy who could have 50, 60 catches, about 600 yards, 5-6 touchdowns. You can do a lot worse. Yeah, exactly. Life's the gamble. Just nailed it. Exactly. Irv Smith's a really athletic player. He's really, and keep in mind, Kyle Rudolph's on the wrong side of 30. If he goes down, I could easily see Irv Smith as a starter getting about 8 catches a game. He really could. He's talented, and you got to worry about Thielen. I think Justin Jefferson's going to put some really good numbers up. So, but talking about the AFC North here, there's been a lot of talk about Claypool doing some really good things in training camp. I always kind of ignore this, but this is a guy who's 240, ran a 4.4, I think it was a 4.41 or a 4.42 at Indy. Get Ben Roethlisberger back. They're a team that had to run the ball a little more than they normally do. I think they're going to try to go back to run, but with Ben Roethlisberger, you can throw the ball. I wouldn't take this guy anywhere in the first 12 rounds, but if you need a wide receiver late, you got somebody you want to do as a late flex, Chase Claypool's a boomer bust. It would not surprise me if Chase Claypool has a 2020 stat line of 5 catches for 30 yards. It wouldn't surprise me. They could put him in for a game as a starter and have a 6-catch, 150-yard, 2-touchdown performance. So this guy you could roll the dice on. Another guy you could take very late, David Njoku, guy had all the talent in the world, never been able to put together in Cleveland. They even drafted a tight end. Then they signed Austin Hooper to a big-time deal. I actually think Njoku could be a trade candidate for some team, and this is why you could get him late. You can get him like 14th, 15th round. He could go to a team that needs a tight end, has a training camp injury, could come in and start. All the talent in the world. For those of you who don't know, this is a former wide receiver, went to Miami, put on a ton of weight, just started to learn how to play tight end, only played like 11 games in college, ACC high jump champion, just never been able to put everything together. So these are the guys that you roll the dice on. Roll the dice on them late. Don't take them anything above the last 1 or 2 rounds, but you need a flyer on the guy who's got talent. David Njoku is a good one. When you look at Cincinnati Bengals, look at the wide receiver core. You got A.J. Green coming back. You got T. Higgins. John Ross, remember the 9th pick overall in the draft, but nobody talks about Tyler Boyd. 90 catches, 1,046 yards, and 5 touchdowns with all the problems Cincinnati had at quarterback. This is the only guy who produced. Nobody likes this guy, though. You got people talking about A.J. Green, T. Higgins, John Ross. I mean, everybody's talking about these 3 guys. Boyd's the one that had 90 catches for over 1,000 yards. If you're in a PPR league, don't be surprised if he does the same thing again, even though they got A.J. Green and T. Higgins. This is the only guy who's been a consistent producer. So take a flyer. This guy will be available late. You can get this guy late. One of my draft crushes, who I think may surprise, is James Prochet, 6th rounder out of SMU. Baltimore doesn't have a lot of talent at wide receiver. This is a guy, he's not going to start. But if you want a flyer, watch some of the games he played at SMU. I mean, this guy, I watched them play Tulsa. They were down 30-9 in the 4th quarter, and he single-handedly won the game with some of the best catches I've ever seen in my life. A team like the Ravens getting him, round 15, you don't have anything else to do. Take a flyer on this guy because he's going to produce. I just don't know how much he's going to produce. It may just be on special teams, but this is a guy who, take a flyer on him in the last round. If he gets a chance to start, he's going to do something. This is a guy that if preseason football was around, this is a guy I'd want to watch, man. I'm drinking. I know it's 90 degrees outside. I don't care. I drink coffee anyway. I'm jacked up. All right. NFC South sleepers. This is a big one. Calvin Ridley, his first 2 seasons, 127 catches, 1,687 yards, 17 touchdowns. It averages out to 63, 839, and 8.5. This is a guy who could have a Chris Godwin type season. This is a guy who's got all the talent. People are focused on Julio Jones. People are going to be focused on Todd Gurley. This is the guy who you could really sleep on, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, he's got 8 catches for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns. This is a guy you got to watch out for, Calvin Ridley. I think he's going to have a huge year. He could have that Chris Godwin type of season, so watch out for this kid. Another guy you want to watch out for is Hayden Hurst. Backed up Mark Andrews in Baltimore, even though he's the first round pick and Andrews was the third round pick. Excuse me. He's going to get a chance to start. He's actually more talented than Hooper. Going to be used more of a blocker, but this is a guy who could have a really big year. I mean, I'm not taking him early. Again, these are later draft picks, but this is a guy that you could get late, and you're getting a guy who's drafted in the first round, and he deserved to be drafted in the first round, despite what people say. This guy's talented. He just hasn't had a chance. And going back to SEC country, I think will really help. I think he's going to have a decent year. And keep in mind, I'm nothing bad about Lamar Jackson. You have a better passer than Matt Ryan. You do. Special shout out to my boy Trill One. I broke down all 32 NFL teams, and Trill One made several comments, and he gave me some love. He subscribed. And because I told him, I said, I don't think DJ Moore's a legit number one. He's like, just because he's not a big name doesn't mean number one. You're right. Hey, listen, the DAN show, unlike a lot of guys that are on social media, that have YouTube channels that just talk and don't listen to anybody. No, listen, you present a good argument. Listen, this was a complete shit show at quarterback at Carolina. He put up some great numbers. He's a legitimate number one receiver. Watch out for him. Some sleepers here. Adam Troutman, this is a guy you get dynasty. He was third round pick out of Dayton, went to the Saints. He's currently, I think, the third string tight end. He's going to play. I just don't know how much. Remember, Jared Cook, when healthy, even though he's awesome when he's healthy, he's not healthy very often. He's on the wrong side of 30. If you're in a dynasty league, take Troutman late. This is a guy 2-3 years from now could have consistent 80 catch seasons, 8-10 touchdowns. Small school guy. Some small school guys can't play in the big leagues. Some small school guys just need a chance. You can't have a better quarterback than Drew Brees. I'm not saying he's slipping or anything, but this stage of his career, he's not throwing the ball deep downfield. So having an athletic 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" guy who can go across the middle, that's who you're throwing the ball to. You're not going downfield. So another thing I gotta point out, Drew Brees missed 5 games last year. If Jameis Winston ever gets a start, play him. He will put up big numbers. All right. He threw for $5,000 last year. All right. He threw for $5,000 last year. Yes, I know he threw about 80 picks. I understand. It's going to be different in the Saints offense. If he starts, even if he starts a meaningless game, play him. AFC South. This is a deep sleeper because I didn't like it when he was drafted. He was the 5th overall pick in the 2017 draft, but Corey Davis. For those of you who don't know, when you're a first round pick, you have the 5th year option, but the 5th year option is for the team, so the team has the option. Well, they're not going to pick up the option for Corey Davis. So here's a guy who never panned out, but he's 6'3" with a lot of athleticism. The quarterback situation, they signed Tannehill to an off-season extension, so he's going to be the starter. This is a guy, you can take this guy really late. You could get this guy really late, and this could be a guy who could really produce. A.J. Brown's the number one guy, but Corey Davis should have been the number one guy, just never panned out. But I know a buddy of mine, he swears up and down, he doesn't take fantasy football receivers under 6'2". That was just his thing. This guy's 6'3" with athleticism, never panned out. It's contract year. You can do worse in rounds 14 and 15. Another guy, Chenault. out of Colorado. I really like this guy, and I think he went to a good situation in Jacksonville. People are really sleeping on him because I'm not hearing anybody talk about this kid. This is a guy you could get late, and this guy may surprise. This guy is a guy I absolutely love. He may be that guy who comes out of nowhere and ends up with 70 catches for 1,100 yards and about 8 touchdowns. All the athleticism in the world. Speaking of Jacksonville, people hate Leonard Fournette, but as far as size speed combination, you don't get better than Leonard Fournette. I mean, here's a guy people are avoiding like the plague. 1,152 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground, 76 catches, 522 yards. I mean, you could do a lot worse. Keep in mind, there was a rookie at right tackle. Cam Robinson on the left side didn't really recover from that ACL injury. Head coach, the former offensive line coach. There's talent on the offensive line, and Leonard Fournette's as talented as they come. Same situation, like I mentioned with Corey Davis. They're not going to renew his contract, so he's a free agent. So don't be surprised Leonard Fournette has a huge year. This is a guy, if you need a running back after, I'm going to say round 5, maybe even 6, pick up Fournette. This guy may end up being the MVP of several fantasy leagues. Colts rookies, Michael Pittman. Phillip Rivers loves tall receivers. Pittman's got all the athleticism in the world. This guy's raw, so I'm not really sure how fast it'll take him to get adapted to the NFL, but I got a feeling he's going to be Rivers' favorite receiver. If he's healthy, it wouldn't surprise me if he has double digits in touchdowns, 70, 80 catches. Jonathan Taylor's my super sleeper for NFL MVP. You did hear me correctly. Yes, I know you got Marlon Mack, who's the starting running back. So me sitting here telling you a backup running back is going to be NFL MVP. Jonathan Taylor is going to start eventually for the Indianapolis Colts. And this is a guy who is going to be a stud. This guy's 230, ran a 4.39 at the combine. Watch him play against Wisconsin. Here's a guy who's going to be he's going to be running behind one of the best offensive lines in football. Phillip Rivers is a gunslinger, so you know they're going to throw the ball. This is a guy who I'm telling you right now, if he's available past rounds 5, pick up Jonathan Taylor. He may win your league for you. Another super sleeper is Darren Fells, the tight end out of Houston. Here's a guy who's 6'7", finally got a chance to play, had 7 touchdowns. You lose DeAndre Hopkins to the trade. Fuller and Cooks can't stay healthy. Why not pick up the 6'7" tight end who had 7 touchdowns last year? This is a very, very late round pick, but this is a guy that, you can do a lot worse than 7 touchdowns. You can do a lot worse. So last pick in the draft, you need a tight end. Fells had 7 touchdowns. There's a good chance he gets double-digit tight ends. There's a good chance he gets double-digit touchdowns this year. Don't be surprised he has over 10. Don't be surprised he has over 10. Some more sleepers here. NFC West, Christian Kirk. There was some trade rumors, especially after the Cardinals traded for DeAndre Hopkins. There's talk about Kirk being moved on draft day. This is a guy I was really, really high on out of Texas A&M. He ended up slipping to the second round. There was talk about maturity issues. You're not trading for DeAndre Hopkins if you're sold on Christian Kirk, but 68 receptions, 709 yards, 3 touchdowns last year. And this is Yvette. Hello, Yvette. How are you doing? I don't even think I told you I'm doing a live stream tonight, but yes, I'm doing a live stream. It is great to hear from you. I am Yvette's boss at work, so I ordered her to join my show. That is a joke. That is a joke. She's super awesome. And but I was talking about Christian Kirk. This is a guy who, yes, there's draft rumors, but I love this kid out of Texas A&M. I understand that you don't trade for a guy if you're really sold on him, but this is a guy who's got up. This is a guy who has a lot of potential. Could be traded midseason. Don't be surprised if he's traded midseason. But yeah, you have a guy with lots of talent. They play in a spread offense. You're hearing Kyler Murray MVP talk. I'm not buying into that, but that's another situation for another day. But anyway, Christian Kirk's a great sleeper. Another thing, I just got done. I haven't finished it completely. It's kind of hard for me to get into Hard Knocks because basically all they're doing is they're talking about the pandemic and how you got to wear masks, and Sean McVay's wearing that face shield, and so I haven't finished it yet. Cam Akers looks like he's going to be the starter. I thought going to the Rams was a great move. Cam Akers going to the Rams is a great fit. I was just talking to a guy who left a comment in about I'm gonna post this here. She says I came up on her notifications. I actually didn't advertise this show because it was kind of an impromptu thing. So it's great that I'm getting a vet coming in my notifications here. So anyway. But Cam Akers, this is a guy who's a rookie second-round pick. I think he's going to be the starter. ESPN has him listed as starter. I want to pay attention to how he looks in Hard Knocks. I kind of want to see how things are going to go. Another guy is Van Jefferson. He was the other second-round pick that the Rams had. He's currently listed as a backup. He is going to play. For those of you that don't know, his dad was Sean Jefferson. I think he's still a wide receivers coach in the NFL. Coach's kid, great draft pick, some good size, some decent speed. This guy's got an extremely high floor. Listed as a backup so you can get him late, but it wouldn't surprise me if he has about 50, 60 catches this year. Keep in mind, Rams did trade Cooks away. Even though he's listed as a backup, he gets in, he's going to be able to play. So this is a guy, again, rounds probably 1 through 12. I wouldn't take him, but this is a guy you get really late. You may end up producing for you. If you're in a dynasty league, I definitely would recommend grabbing him really late. Another running back that you could grab extremely late and could really pay off is Jerick McKinnon. For those of you who don't remember, this was the guy who was a former quarterback, went to Minnesota, had a great year, signed I think it was a 3-year, $25 million deal with San Francisco, kept on having injury after injury. Now, keep in mind, San Francisco went to their third string running back last year. Was it Mozart? I forgot his name. What last 6 games this season, he was like the best running back in football. Ended up winning a lot of fantasy football leagues for people. It wouldn't surprise me if McKinnon does the same thing. He's actually the most talented running back on the roster. It's just he hasn't been able to stay healthy. He's currently listed as the third string. This is a guy, if he does get a chance to start, he's going to have big numbers in that offense. What's San Francisco want to do? They want to run the football. So give him the opportunity. This is a guy, you get him about round 14 or 15, stash him on the bench, maybe a late flex. I wouldn't even do that. If there are some injuries in the San Francisco backfield, pick this guy up in free agency, pick this guy up on the waiver wire. Talented player, just hasn't been able to stay healthy. Now he's the third string guy in San Francisco. Remember, Mozart won a lot of people fantasy leagues last year as the third string guy, and San Francisco is going to run the football. So don't be surprised if McKinnon gets a chance. He's going to put up some big numbers. Another player from San Francisco, Brandon Ayuk. This is a rookie, another guy from Arizona State, a guy I really like a lot. Deebo Samuel, I don't think he's going to start week 1. There's a chance this is a starter. And if you remember Deebo Samuel, they use him on end arounds. Brandon Ayuk can do a lot of those same things. So this is a guy who could really double dip. He may not have a lot of catches, but he'll have a few carries in a game, especially if he starts. So this is a guy I would definitely keep an eye out on. This is a guy you can get late. Even though he's a first-round pick, this is a guy who's going to be available late. I wouldn't use him as my number 1 or number 2, but he's a guy who'd be a number 3, maybe a flex option, especially if he gets a chance to start. You have to keep tabs at Deebo Samuel situation, because if Deebo Samuel is not ready to go week 1, Brandon Ayuk could start, and he could have some carries. He can have some catches. I think he's listed at like 5'11", but he's got long arms. I think it was something crazy. It was like 34-inch arms at the combine. So this is a guy, also has some great leaping ability. So this is a guy who could really surprise some people early on. So that's another name to keep tabs on. AFC West. There's lots of talk about CEH, Carlos Edwards, a Hilaire, first-round pick out of Kansas City, but this is a late round sleeper is Darwin Thompson. This is the 6th-round pick out of Utah State. This is the reason why the Chiefs got rid of Carlos Hyde, because they really like this Thompson kid a lot. Now, they don't like him enough not to draft a running back in the 1st round, but this is a guy that you could go ahead, you could grab 14th, 15th round, and if anything happens to CEH, and bottom line, you never know what's going to happen with a rookie. Some guys, they look great out of college. They look great in shorts, and all of a sudden you put the pads on, they can't play. Every time this guy's been on the field, he's flashed. He's looked good. If CEH, and by the way, you always hit that rookie wall. This is a guy who, if he gets a chance to start, he's going to have 15, 20 touches. And every time he's played, he's flashed. He's done something exciting. Hey, look, like I said, everybody knows who to pick in rounds 1 and 2. But it's those late round picks. This is a guy, Darwin Thompson. He's sitting on the bench. He's going to be available in rounds 14 or 15. This is a guy that you pick up. If he starts, he's going to put up some big numbers. The only question is if he's ever going to get a chance. But you got to realize the guy in front of him is a rookie. You really don't know what he's going to do. There was no preseason. So ultimately, you have no idea what he's going to do. So Darwin Thompson, rounds 14 or 15, great pickup. Another player that you could grab late, Noah Fant, a tight end out of Denver. It would not surprise me in the next 2 to 3 years if Noah Fant is the best tight end in football. It would not surprise me at all. This is a guy who's got all the talent in the world and really started to flourish towards the end of the season, especially with Drew Lock. Now, yes, I know they picked up Drew Lock's tight end out of MU. He had that 4.49 40 at the combine, which shocked everybody. I think it even surprised him. No, I'm joking, probably didn't, but I was surprised. Fan, if I remember right, ran a 4.51, but nobody was surprised about that. This is a guy, he's not going to put up the same numbers as Travis Kelce, but it wouldn't surprise me as if 2-3 years from now, this guy was putting up 1,300 yards and 10, 12 touchdowns. This is a tight end who's going to be great. If you're in a dynasty league and Noah Fant's available late, grab him, because about 2-3 years from now, he's probably going to be the best tight end in football. How's he going to do next year? I'll be honest, with everything Denver's doing, I'm not 100% sure. But I think as far as tight ends go, he's going to be a top 10 tight end in fantasy. So this is a guy, I would say if he's available, definitely in the later rounds, after round 10, go ahead and pick him up, because, I mean, this is a guy who has massive upside. It's just kind of questionable what Denver's doing, to be perfectly blunt. Like I said, I would put him like some tight end range as far as the tight ends, and I'm not going to rate my tight ends, 1 through 30, but if I did, I'd put Noah Fant definitely somewhere between like 8 and 12. So you could get this, if you can get this guy late, go ahead and grab him. Lots of upside. Another guy that you could pick up really late, and I love this guy. I have a draft crush on him, Bryan Edwards, wide receiver out South Carolina. Reminded me of Alshon Jeffrey, another USC wide receiver. Big guy. I remember watching South Carolina game when the announcer said that he supposedly runs a 4.2. I didn't see it. I think he ran like a 4.5 or 4.6 something. But this is a guy, big guy, 6'3", 215, 220. It wouldn't surprise me if Bryan Edwards has a better career and a better rookie season than Ruggs. Ruggs was the 1st round pick. And in the draft, in your fantasy football draft, Ruggs is going to go before Edwards, but it wouldn't surprise me if Edwards easily has a better season. This is a guy 6'3", good size, good hands. He's going to be a red zone threat. It wouldn't surprise me if rookie season, if he has anywhere between 8 and 12 touchdowns. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Give him some jump balls. Why not? Why not? This is a guy I really, really like. This is a guy, again, this is not this. I'm not giving you guys taking a first, second round. Everybody knows who's taking the first, second round. These are guys that late in the draft, when you don't know what to do, you got to figure out who to take. 14th, 15th round, you need a wide receiver. You take Bryan Edwards. There's a good chance you could get a complete steal. Matter of fact, if I had to choose between Henry Ruggs and Bryan Edwards, I would choose Edwards. I really would. I think he's going to be that. I think he's going to have that big of an impact. I really do. So listen, this is a draft pick. This is just some rookies, some late round picks. Go ahead and use this video. Take advantage of it. If you have a question, you can always email me at TheDANshow@yahoo.com. I should have changed it instead. I just put The Dan Show because I just started this impromptu. So welcome to episode 1 of The Dan Show. I really hope you enjoyed it. Yes. I won't post this here, man. Yeah, that's what you're here for, man. And unlike most YouTube channels where people just talk the talk, I actually walk the walk. Now, when it comes to fantasy football, I'm not going to play in a league this year. But I made this video for my buddy who's in for a fantasy draft, who was in over his head, didn't know what to do, doesn't really know football. He's a Chiefs fan, but he doesn't know football. So what did he do? He called the expert. I need some help. So I'm going to help him. And I'm helping out those subscribers to Andrew's Football. It used to be Andrew's Football. I changed it to Dan Show. You know what? It's my first show. So what? I messed up. It's okay. So listen. First episode of The Dan Show is in the books. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, or there's anything I can do to help you with your fantasy draft, you can email me. Okay, here it is. You know what? I can change it right now. Okay, I'm going to change it right now. All right, it's TheDANshow@yahoo.com. All right, there it is. And that's what I should have had anyway. So, hey, my first episode. Life is a gamble. Hey, man, just go ahead and hit me up. I'll do everything I can. I want you to win that $1 million, man. I want you to win all that money. I'm going to do everything I can to help you win as much as you can. No, Ray is not here. I didn't tell her either. This is kind of impromptu. So I know she is not here. But I know. But bottom line, you can hit me up via email. You can leave a comment below. I'm going to do everything I can to help you win your fantasy league. Like I said, I'm going to the draft next Saturday. I'm going to have some fun. It's about time I got to blow off some steam. I got some fun. So, hey, listen, welcome to episode 1 of The Dan Show. If you have any comments, questions, I'm going to rebroadcast this tomorrow for you. So, hey, man, have a great night. Next show will be better. But this one is still damn good. So give me a thumbs up. Recommend this to your friends. I'm going to hit these 2 comments. And, hey, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Oh, no, I'm not doing the show tomorrow, okay? Hey, another mess up. Next week, Dan Show, 7 p.m. Central Time. We'll talk fantasy. We'll just talk football in general. You have a great night.